Actor Kendrick Sampson from Insecure, How to Get Away with Murder, The Flash. He's also an activist who was at yesterday's protest. He's been a big activist for years here in Southern California. Kendrick, let's start with you. For people that weren't there, what is the main message of the protest that you want people to know?
Defund the police and Jackie Lacey must go. We've got to get rid of DA Jackie Lacey, and we need to defund the police. They are suggesting that we give the police $200 million additional dollars. They already take up 54% of LA's general fund. They do not make us safer. The policing system was founded in slave catching. It's operating exactly as it was designed to operate. And it wasn't ever designed to help our communities. It was designed to harm our communities. And that is why we continue seeing these killings. And we wanted to be in solidarity with George Floyd, but we also wanted to lift up the names of those killed by officers here in LA County, over 600, specifically Kenneth Ross Jr., Christopher Mitchell, Grishario Mack, Albert Ramon Dorsey, Waukesha Wilson. There's so many. And Black Lives Matter has been out there. Black Lives Matter paired with my nonprofit initiative, Build Power, for this. Me and Melina Abdullah jumped on the phone the night before, and we said we have to do something. They've been out there every Wednesday for years demanding Jackie Lacey has to go because of her reluctance to prosecute killer cops. And her involvement in cover-ups of their crimes, and we wanted to make sure that we gathered in public as they've been doing this virtual protest now, and we continued that yesterday. And those were our demands: defund the police, and Jackie Lacey has to go.
Areva, do you agree with that defunding the police is the answer to this, or is it maybe, getting rid of the bad cops?
Well, I definitely agree that we have a really flawed police system, and that's playing itself out not just with respect to this case that's happening out of Minneapolis. We saw it with respect to Breonna Taylor. The case in Louisville, Kentucky. We've seen it with so many of these high-profile cases involving African-American men, unarmed African-American men, and white police officers. We see the problem with the police, as Mr. Gascon pointed to. You have district attorneys who are given the responsibility to police the police, but yet they rely on the police to actually make their cases. So they have this symbiotic relationship that is detrimental to the community that they have a responsibility to protect and serve. So when you look at a videotape like that we have seen now played over and over again with respect to Mr. Floyd, you can't help but ask, what is the responsibility of the police, and how could something like this happen where you have the perpetrator in this case, this officer who is literally kneeling on the neck of Mr. Floyd? This isn't his first incident. It's not his second. It's not his third. It's not his fourth. He has 18 claims of police misconduct, excessive force against him. So how is it that someone like him with this atrocious record could still even be on a police department, being a part of that, that organization that is designed to protect and serve the people of Minneapolis?
So, Areva, you and I have been working on these stories for, I don't know, way too long. And so I'm a little confused. Is the answer the management within the police system, that they are unwilling to discipline their own? Is it that we need a third party like Mr. Gascon was suggesting? Or did you say there's something wrong with the nature of policing in this country?
I think it's a systemic problem, Dr. Drew, and you're right. We've been talking about this for years. I think this is a very complex problem. It's not about any one thing. It's a combination of bad policy. It's a combination of human beings who don't see these police officers, who do not see African Americans as citizens. They see African Americans, particularly African American men, as suspects and criminal. And as a lawyer, we can pass every law in the book. We can make officers wear body cams. We can force them to engage in community policing. We can give them implicit bias training. But we can't change the hearts and minds of individuals. We can't force individuals to see African Americans as citizens. That's something that has to be done. That's a responsibility of all of us. And I have to ask the question, if white mothers and white fathers, and I'm the mother of a black son that's around the age of most young men when they start getting harassed by the police, if white mothers saw their sons, their husbands, their brothers, their uncles on the ground like we saw George Floyd, would the response be different? Would we see a police department that looked very different than police departments like the one in Minneapolis that's involved in this case?
Kendrick, we had civil rights attorney Leo Terrell on our show last night, who said, look, about 97% of police are good. There's some bad cops. We should focus on the bad cops, take care of them. But there are a lot of cops that do a lot of good things in the community, keep people safe, help protect people, and that have lifted up people in the community. What do you say to that?
I think it's a bunch of BS. This is why. I think that the whole system needs to go. I think we can, if we can't imagine better than this with such a low bar,
so who keeps us safe then if the whole system goes? What does the new system look like?
Exactly. Well, this is what I'm saying. Like, if we can't imagine better than this with such a low bar, then we don't have any imagination. You know what I'm saying? These systems, the money that goes, the inflated budgets that we have for policing systems, right, that weren't ever built for accountability and care of our communities, right? They were built to protect the land and the land that was stolen from indigenous people, and to treat black folks like the property that they were treated like, the slaves that they were treated like, to make sure that the people that they abused, that they were committing acts of genocide upon, did not retaliate against them. And that is the system, the foundation of this country and the foundation of these systems. We have to change that. That is the foundation. That's why it's operating the way that it's operating. We can take that money. Think about $200 million or the $8 million that they approved for the Minneapolis police, with the Mayor Frey talking about, the failure of these police. There's been a failure for a long time, but to be frank, that system is operating exactly how it was designed to operate. So we need to switch to a different system. We need to take those funds and put them towards housing, towards mental health care services. If you think about the statistics around how many people in prisons and jails, state prisons and jails, have mental health issues, it's 55% of men and 73% of women. We can have mental health institutions. We can fund rehabilitation centers. We can fund community care. We can fund education with those. There's so many things that we can do that actually care for our communities.
All right, we want to hear more from Kendrick and Areva right after this.